Hello, Durud and Shalom. Another Nick Fuentes video. This time he is talking about impeaching Trump, getting more into US politics. So I need Americans in the chat to help me out here with any information that I might be getting wrong. But don't worry, I also have my fact-checking tools right at my disposal. So we're good. We're good. Look at this. Everybody in the chat. Alexia. Eggy, I don't know. Eggy Sebastian, thank you. And then we have Sheer. Texas Troop is here. Good. So we're going to know exactly. So anytime we are in doubt regarding American politics, Texas Troop is in the chat to help us out. Sayed is here. William is here. Lior is here. Sarah is here. Sammy Amethyst. I'm going to say Amethyst. Koala Katie. Love that username. All right, let's just get. Hey, Nara is here. Ooh, Duruden, good morning. Good morning. Okay, let's get started. Let's go right to the beginning. See what this idiot has to say today.
Trump got elected, among other things, to cut the deficit by $2 trillion per year. He got into office to do an infrastructure bill, rebuild the airports and bridges and highways and all these things, first world infrastructure. He got elected to build a border wall, carry out mass deportations, which is 1 million illegals per year. He got elected to fight the war on drugs in Mexico. And again,
Okay. None of the promises were this specific like he's making it out to be. Am I misremembering this? He did promise to do things about all of these things that he's mentioning, but none of them were as specific as this specific one. A lot of the lists that you're offering here right now, President Trump had done a really good job on it. The economy is growing like freaking, like it's on steroids. Fentanyl overdoses have dropped like a rock. And immigration, he has been incredibly successful. And if there's one thing that you cannot criticize President Trump about, is immigration. Illegal border passing has dropped to 0. Am I wrong about Texas Troop? Am I wrong about these things? I mean, I'm not American, but I remember all of this. I remember related fentanyl like stuff has like significantly has dropped. The economy, I know the economy is doing fantastic. I mean, look at this. So beautiful. Year over year, S&P 500 is up 27%. 27%. And then it also, I think, what is his claim? He's just basically saying President Trump screwed up on all of these things that I'm mentioning. But is this true? Like fentanyl-related death has dropped. Economy is booming. And illegal migration across the southern border is basically 0 now. So he's doing really well on all of those things. And the only reason why he can make it seem like he's not is coming up with this very specific numbers that he hasn't met, which was never promised. I don't remember them being promised exactly like that.
Carry out mass.
Somebody saying economy is not doing great. I mean, but what is this then? Look at this. 27% up year over year. The economy is doing fantastic. I think you're talking about inflation. You're saying inflation is not doing very well, but on average, the economy is doing very well. So, yeah. Yeah, see, the Texas Trooper saying, yes, Trump is doing very well on all his promises, surprisingly so. He's definitely exceeding expectations. Yes. Like, I'm not saying I agree with everything President Trump does, I know some of you disagree with me. I don't, I think his tariff stuff could have been done better. So, but his record is great when it comes to all of these things, all of these metrics.
Deportations, which is 1 million illegals per year. He got elected to fight the war on drugs in Mexico and against these narco states. Think about all the things that we could.
Yeah, and he has been successful on that. Like, I just recently saw the numbers on this, by the way. Accidentally, I was watching a video that was talking about exactly this. And yeah, he has been very successful, especially with fentanyl.
Could be doing other than this. That's the real heartbreak, because it is a zero-sum game in politics. One man and one cabinet cannot do everything. They need to choose what they're going to focus on and what their major initiatives are going to be. Under Obama, they did Obamacare. Under Obama, they did healthcare. Under Biden, they did an infrastructure bill. Think about this.
Wait, these are not good examples. Obamacare is like a disaster. That's so. What the fuck? Is this guy right leaning? Was he just supporting Obamacare? How is this man right leaning?
They need to choose what they're going to focus on and what their major initiatives are going to be. Under Obama, they did Obamacare.
He's praising Obamacare? That's not a good thing. How is this man? How does this fucker pretends to be a conservative? Is he praising Obamacare? What the fuck?
Under Obama, they did healthcare. Under Biden, they did an infrastructure bill.
So he's saying Obama and Biden did good because they had big projects. So apparently shitting on the economy and the healthcare system, as long as it's a big dump, it's something you could praise just because it's big.
Think about this.
Yeah, so yeah, Jeannie is saying he is not right leaning. He is a leftist with the groups mixed up. Yep.
Think about how much we as Republicans are getting royally. When Democrats get in, they say, how about we give you free health care? How about we forgive your student loans?
There is no such thing as free health care. There has never been such a thing as free healthcare. Guys, every time the government tells you that we're going to give you something for free, what they're actually saying is that we're going to make something more expensive, and we're not going to charge you up front. We're going to charge you in a different way ahead of time, and you're going to pay for it a lot more. The scariest thing that the government could tell you is, do you want some free stuff? Okay, it's never free. It's never fucking free. Every time you hear the word free from your government, run in the opposite direction as fast as possible. Okay, it's a trap. It's a trap. There is no free healthcare. There is no free education. Nothing from the government is free. Every time they say free, they say, like, how about we charge for it instead of the private sector? And how about if we get a lot less efficient at it? And how about if we charge a lot more for it? But because we are hoping that you're a fucking idiot, not knowing that we're charging you from your taxes and from, printing money, you don't end up recognizing that you're paying for it. And you actually believe that it's free.
How about we give you free health care? How about we forgive your student loans? How about we do an infrastructure law?
And guys, when I say they charge you for it, that charge does not always come from taxes, right? Sometimes it comes from higher taxes. Sometimes it's a hidden tax. Hidden tax, for example, when they print more money and the value of the money that you're holding becomes lower, basically the government managed to take something out of your pocket without you even feeling it, without you even recognizing it. It's a hidden tax. Sometimes it's through less efficiency. Sometimes it's from taking from, not from your pocket, but from the companies, the private sector that pays you, that employs you, from the people that sell to you, from the private sector that sells goods and services to you. They take from them, or they take from the people that are supposed to pay your income. So you're going to feel it in lower income and higher prices, but because it didn't come from your taxes directly, you think you didn't pay for it. So there's three ways that government can take from your pocket. One, they could tax you more. Two, they could print money and make what the money that you're holding be worth less, but then they end up holding more of the money. Or they could, instead of taxing you more, tax the people who sell to you more or people who hire you more. And you feel like you're not being taxed, but those people who sell to you end up increasing the price to be able to adjust the higher cost to them. So you're going to see it in higher prices to you, or people who are supposed to pay you, they end up having to pay you less. So you see it in lower income, right? So by taxing other people that are connected to you, and you don't even mind it because, oh, they're just big corporations, so who the fuck cares? Those big corporations pass on the cost to you. So these are the three ways that the government takes from you and then pays for the things that pretends that they are free.
The Biden infrastructure
Yeah,
law.
so Texas saying 40% of Americans' households do not pay federal income tax. Yeah, but again, at the end of the day, I said there's three different ways that they could, they're hidden tax. You know, there's income tax, but there's also other ways to tax you without you even knowing it.
And we're going to give you a tax credit if you buy a solar panel and a tax credit if you buy an electric car. That's what happens when Democrats get elected. Obama's signature legislation, Obamacare. Biden's signature legislation, Build Back Better, the Biden infrastructure law. We're actually going to build things in America. What happens when Trump gets in office?
Obamacare is not building. Obamacare is not building things in America. Obamacare is basically destroying things that have already been built by the private sector. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Sarah saying, love you, Armin. Oh, love you back, Sarah. Thank you for our first super chat. We're 10% there now. Saying, how are you feeling today? Well, I'm feeling better. Thank you so much for asking. I need to get more rest though, but I'm trying. Thank you, Sarah.
How about a 10% corporate tax cut and a war with Iran? Are you the beneficiary of the corporate tax?
Yes, you are. Oh my God, you're saying this is, oh, both of these are amazing. Look at this.
In America, what happens when Trump gets in office? How about a 10% corporate tax cut and a war with Iran?
War with the Islamic Republic and a 10% corporate tax cut? Yes. Well, I didn't even know Trump did that. The 10%, that, yes, please. That's fantastic. What? That is fantastic. Did Trump really do that? A 10% corporate tax cut? So you're saying President Trump is trying to destroy the main enemy of the United States and also reducing taxes in America? Like, those are like, yes, some of that, less Obamacare. That sounds like that. Yeah, let's fucking go. That's fantastic. Yeah, give me that. Exactly. I mean, like, yes, please give me some of that. Yes. What is your problem with 10% corporate tax cut? You don't, people do know corporations are the people who employ you. It's your 401k. It's also the people, it's the institutions and the businesses that make your stuff and provide you services, right? You do understand that if these corporations have less cost, that means less cost to you as a consumer and more income to you as an employee, and also more savings, your investments growing significantly faster. There's three people think like, oh, corporations, oh, the evil corporations. How does that benefit me? It benefits you in three ways: higher income, lower cost for goods and services, increased value of your investments. That's how that benefits you. That directly benefits you. Do you guys agree with that? Do you guys agree with what I just said?
Are you the beneficiary of the corporate tax cut?
Yes. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. What, you think the government is going to do more with that 10%? You think the government is going to be more efficient with that? Yes, you are. Every single American is going to benefit from that 10% corporate tax cut. You know, corporations are how people get paid, right? You know, corporations are how goods and services are supplied to the American demand, right? You know it's going to increase American purchasing power, right? You know that's what it's going to do, right? You know the people's retirement funds is going to significantly be worth more because of that, right? You don't? You don't? You're retarded? You don't know these things? If you don't, why the fuck are you commenting about things that you don't understand? Yes, exactly. Saying also increase employment. Amazing. Do people not know these things? Do people don't know basic economics? If you don't, then just don't get upset over it. Just it's okay. Guys, it's okay not to know these things. The problem is that people who don't know these things then have strong opinions about it. That's the problem. And thank you for the super chat, Sayed. Let me heart that. Heart. Always supporting us. Thank you. Guys, this is a very educational show, in my opinion. Look at this. We're using this retard to basically respond to all of these baseless accusations against Trump, and also this attack on capitalism. Again, can somebody remind me again? How is this fucker a conservative? Aren't conservatives supposed to be for limited government? This fucker thinks he's a conservative and he's against corporate tax cut. Can somebody make that make sense to me? I don't know what the word conservative means in the United States anymore. What the fuck does that even mean anymore? How are you a conservative and not celebrating corporate tax cuts? Any tax cuts, for that matter. Oh, Sarah saying it's like Mythbusters economics edition. Yeah, guys, this is the only way we can make economics fun. People don't like economics, but if you teach people basic economics while shitting on Nick Fuentes, then you could make learning economics fun, right? That's how you teach. That's how you teach basic economic principles. You bring this retard, you put it on your screen, and you basically start swearing at him while basically going through these basic principles.
Do you own a corporation? I don't think so. You're probably a W-2 or maybe a
You don't need to own a corporation to benefit from corporate tax cuts. You fucking idiot. No. Do you own a corporation? No. Do you work for one? Do you buy from one? Does your grandma have a retirement fund? Does that retirement fund have any corporations, shares of any corporations in it? Are you fucking kidding me? You think you need to own corporations to benefit from tax cuts to corporations? Nick Fuentes, you know the company. Where does he stream on? Rumble? Yeah, you know that's a corporation. You know, with tax cuts, they will be able to give you more features, have more developers work on features for Rumbles so that you could generate more revenue. They know, with corporate tax cuts, they might be able to take less of a share of their revenues that they generate. For there's going to be more competition between their platform and other platforms. Do you know with corporate tax cuts, more platforms will be created to offer content creators streaming services? So because of more competition, there has to be less censorship, or else somebody else is going to come take their market share. Do you know more competition that comes from corporate tax cuts helps in less censorship? Did you know that? Because it increases competition. Did you know that? You don't need to own a fucking corporation to benefit from corporate tax cuts, you fucking idiot.
$10.99. Are you really jumping for joy that the corporate tax rate is permanently 21 or 23% now? I don't think
you should be. You should be, because it's not going to stay in their fucking pockets. That is 10% more in the private sector. That one way or another is going to make it into your wallet. if the government is not wasting, if that money is now in the private sector, one way or another, you're also in the private sector. So one way or another, it's going to reach your pocket.
I think so. And they say, well, if you cut taxes on corporations, then they can invest more in their employees. They can increase compensation. Really? Because wages are totally stagnant.
Oh my fucking God. Oh my fucking God. First of all, employment is extremely low. So if you're talking about wages, you have to also multiply it by the number of people who are employed to take that into account. Also, it's multifactorial. The corporate tax rate has a positive effect on wages, which is not going to undo the negative effect of many other things. It's multifactorial. When you're looking at wages, have you taken account? Have you managed to isolate have all the other factors on wages and isolated only the impact of corporate tax cuts to see what this have you done a study, Nick Fuentes, to remove all the other factors and their effect on wages to make sure that the corporate tax cut is not responsible for wages? You haven't done that. This is not a one-to-one relationship. And also wages are up. Wages are up. You are just zooming in on a short time period. You have to zoom out to see wages in the United States are way higher, even adjusted for inflation and purchasing power in the United States compared to vast majority of the countries in the world. And because of less taxes and because of the productivity of American and because of the infrastructure that exists in the United States, the purchasing power of Americans is significantly higher than the vast majority of the countries out there. But you don't recognize that, do you? Let me actually check this out as well while he speaks.
Purchasing power in real terms has gone down because inflation is rising faster than wages. So that's not really working, is it? So Democrats get in, we'll forgive your student loans, we'll take medical debt off your credit report, we'll invest in infrastructure, we're going to give you a big COVID stimulus, we're going to give you free health care. Republicans get elected, how about a corporate tax cut? How about a corporate tax cut and a war with Iran? Great. Awesome. The golden age. Are the streets paved with gold yet? Do we live in El Dorado? Oh man, I almost got confused. I went downtown to Chicago and I saw the streets were paved with gold. I said, is this El Dorado or is this Chicago? Truly a golden age. And it could be so much different. Everything they are doing, they could be doing for us. They told us we could not do mass deportations because it would be bad for the economy. And then they made gas prices go up to $6 a gallon. They told us we couldn't do mass deportations because it's going to be bad for our approval rating. Then they brought us into the least popular war in modern history.
Yeah, that's right. So I think we can finally all confirm now that all these people who act like they're good for our country, they're just like a bunch of paid actors. They don't care about our country. They don't care about you and me. They just care about themselves, how they can enrich themselves, how they can enrich their friends, their families, their biggest donors. That's just why they are in politics. And it's very, very sad because, again, like, why would you still vote? And if it doesn't even matter at this point, it's actually so sad that we have arrived at a point now that almost no one wants to vote anymore, because does it really make a difference? It almost feels like it doesn't. But also, like, we should stop complaining a little bit. Of course, like, we can't count on like these politicians anymore because they just do whatever they want. But how are we gonna make America great again? How are we? Because we can sit back and complain about everything. It's not gonna solve anything. It's also a waste of time. So let me ask you one question, and I don't even have the answer for that. So,
by the way, guys, the estimates is that the corporate tax cuts and other policies by President Trump is going to take years, like couple of years, to boost annual real wages. So if he's saying has wages increased, is because you're not going to see an immediate wage increase from corporate tax cuts. But the estimate is that you are going to see wage increases and purchasing power increases in United States because of corporate tax cuts. It's just not immediate. So there's that. So guys, here's how corporate tax cuts actually does increase purchasing power. So you have increased business investments. So when corporate taxes are lower, businesses get to keep more of their after-tax profits. This extra cash encourages companies to invest in capital goods, technology, and overall expansion. And when you say invest means paying people. Corporations, when they invest in technology, people have to get paid. When they have to expand things, people have to get paid. Anything that the corporation does when it comes to increase investments and spending means people have to get paid. Those are wages. So increased business investments lead to more productive workforce as well, higher demand for labor. When workers are more productive, their wages go up. Higher wages give consumers more take-home pay and a greater capacity to buy necessary items. And also, it lowers prices on goods. So the burden of high corporate taxes are often passed on to consumers through higher prices. So in the opposite way of that, so on the other side of this is that when taxes are cut, businesses will pass these savings onto consumers because they're trying to compete with other corporations. This will result in lower prices and lower prices of goods and services, which means more affordability. More affordability increases purchasing power. There you go. Easy peasy. Guys, is this understandable or do I need to make it easier? Did everything I say is basically very simple, okay? It's very simple. If corporations have to give less money to the government, they spend that. They spend that on investments and growth. And the way to spend that to grow more means that people have to get paid. Does that make sense? Easy? More people have to get paid because you pay people to grow. That is higher wages. When people get paid, that means more wages for people. That means you have more money. That means you could purchase more. So higher purchasing power. Okay? Also, when companies are paying less money to the government, that means that they can afford to lower their prices. Why would they lower their prices? Because they're competing with other corporations on prices. So if they could afford to lower their prices, they would like to do that. That means things would get cheaper. Things getting cheaper means that you could afford more stuff. More affordability means higher purchasing power. It means you can purchase more. Being able to purchase more means a higher standard of living. But here's the problem. When you do that, it takes a couple of years for you to actually see the result of that. It's not immediate. So that's why this fucker could come out and say, well, I haven't seen that happening. Yeah, because it takes time. There's two issues that fuckers like this take advantage of. One, that it takes time. Two, the effect of other issues. There are other factors that influences your purchasing power. So if President Trump, for example, does something that improves your purchasing power, and then there's some other thing that reduces your purchasing power, this fucker will come and pretend that, oh, purchasing power was reduced or didn't change. That means President Trump's policy failed. It's not that simple. Not that many things in life are affected by just one factor. Life is more complicated. Life is the causal relationship between different things are multifactorial. If something changes, it goes up and down. It's not because of just one thing. There are often multiple things that affect whether something goes up or down or to what level. Easy? Did I make it easy? Let me know if you understand what I just said.
that's why I'm wondering if you have an answer. How are we, the people of this country, how are we going to make America great again? Or are we going to sit back and see how our country is being destroyed?
Guys, imagine being an American and being proud of your corporations. Like, imagine if you're a patriot. Let me know in the chat, if you're a patriot, shouldn't you be like, fuck yeah, we have the largest corporations on the fucking planet? Like, isn't that a source of pride? Shouldn't that be a source of pride? Shouldn't you be like, our top 10 companies, our top 10 corporations in the United States, the entirety of European countries, plus Canada, plus Australia, plus New Zealand, don't have a single company that reaches any of our top corporations. You should be like, yeah, this is America, motherfucker. This is how we do it. You should brag about that. That is a sign of success. What is this are you a fucking commie? Nick Fuentes, are you a fucking communist? How is this man conservative? He sounds like a communist. Being anti-corporations is being anti-business. Being anti-business means you're a fucking commie. And if you're a communist, how the fuck are you a conservative? Unbelievable. Look at this. And look at this, guys. Nvidia's market cap is $5.3 trillion. Okay, that is pretty much the GDP of Germany. One of your companies, Americans, has a market cap equal to the GDP of the biggest economy in Europe. You should be bragging about that instead of being anti-business. If this doesn't show that one of your companies, not your entire, like one of your companies, has a larger market cap than the entire GDP of Germany. I mean, it's the same, basically. Pretty much the same. That is something you should be proud of. Especially if you want to pretend to be a conservative like this fucker here. Oh, we got a super chat. Thank you, guys. We're at 3 super chats. Thank you. Channel is saying some corporations are not as nice as you make them. They keep the difference. Some collude. Interests play outsized role too. Government's role is consumer protection. Okay. When you say some corporations are not as nice, that they keep the difference. How is that not being nice? A corporation is supposed to, that is a corporation being nice. If a corporation has more this year, they might decide to spend it on investment. They might decide to reduce their prices. They might decide to keep it as profit. All of those are good decisions depending on the situation. All of them are with the motive of profit maximization, which is what a corporation is supposed to do, which is what the shareholders who have invested in the company have paid the employees, the CEO, and other people within the company to do. You are a representative of the shareholders. It's your job to do profit maximization. You have to decide whether this extra money, how is that, if you could figure out how to spend it on profit maximization through capital and through investments or through price reduction, then you do that to increase profit. And if you can't think of a single way to increase profit, then you're supposed to keep it as profit. That is what you're supposed to do. That is a corporation being nice. And that is actually good for society. A corporation keeping the money means you have more profit for the shareholders, which means that the profit is going to go back into the private sector. One way or another, that money is going to make it to the private sector. If they charge less and reduce prices, that means that the consumers get to keep their more money. So that means that the money made it into the private sector. If they decided to pay their employees more or make investments, that means more people are going to make money. And that money is going to make it into the private sector and into our hands. And even if they decide to keep it, what does it mean, keep it? Either it means that they're going to increase their savings, which means that they need it for a rainy day. So that means that the company is going to be more secure, which increases the value of the company because it lowers the risk. That means the shareholders' investment value is going to go up, or they're just going to give it to the shareholders as profit. So the shareholders are me, you, anybody who has a retirement fund, anybody that has any investments. So even if they keep it, quote unquote, keep it, it's still making it back into the private sector. It means in the people's pockets. A company, you say they're not as nice. How is a corporate meant to be nice? A corporation is nice when they do what their job is, and their job is profit maximization. That's how a corporation can be nice. And he's saying some collude. I don't know what you mean by collude, but if you mean price fixing, well, that's illegal. They should stop. They should stop companies like that's illegal. And you say interest rate play an outsized role too. I mean, yeah, I don't, but yeah, of course it does. But I don't know what is that supposed to. I don't know what you mean. Like, how is that negating what I'm saying? And then also you say government role is consumer protection. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's what government should do that with rules. And I'm not an anarcho-capitalist. I do believe that government has some role and includes consumer protection. They should do that. I don't know, but that doesn't negate what I'm saying. And then we got another super chat. Thank you so much. Justin Law Fever, thank you for the super chat, saying Armin, he's not a conservative, he's a liberal. Well, he's not actually. He's a commie. Like he sounds like a communist. So liberals are like in my view, liberals are classical liberals. Progressive leftists, I know in the United States you have a habit of commenting, of labeling woke retards and communist liberals. They're not liberals. Liberals are both the conservatives. The conservatives are liberals. Conservatives that believe in classical liberal values, that's a liberal. That's actually the true meaning of a liberal. Nationalism is liberal. Rule of law is liberal. This retarded shit is not liberal. I know in the United States, liberal and left have become to mean the same thing, but we should like undo that. Yeah, I mean, he's not a conservative. I agree with that, though. He sounds like a communist. You're saying, and you're literally yelling at a wall. What you're describing is a dynamic factor. I'm not yelling at a wall. I'm talking to you guys, right? And we're basically I'm sharing my I'm expressing my views in the expressive matter about the shitty economic takes that many people have. It's not even about Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is an excuse for us to review bad economic takes that makes many Americans vote the wrong way. And I think me being expressive about it makes it easier for us to go through concepts that other people usually find boring. I'm saying what you're describing is a dynamic factor. Liberals are utterly incapable of thinking dynamically. All they can do is think statically. Okay, statically. Well, I've talked, I mean, again, by liberal, I think you mean progressive leftists, communism, woke people. And I've managed to change some of their opinion. So I wouldn't give up on anybody. I mean, I'm not even American. I'm Iranian. Okay. And I looked into this stuff and it's easy. Like it's easy to learn these things. If like, it's not that complicated. And if you could get people's attention, then some people will learn. And some people are, here's the thing. Some people don't even know. Okay. Some people are trying to figure these things out and they are considering maybe Nick Fuentes is telling the truth. And maybe if we get some of them by just using Nick Fuentes as a way to grab their attention, then people who are in the discovery process, you and me could grab them before they get completely brainwashed by people on the left and on the right who are basically don't understand how the market works, how the economy works. This is one thing we need to figure out how to do here, guys, because the economy is considered a boring topic, but people do. It's interesting because people really care about their standard of living and their purchasing power. So they really care about the results, but they don't want to learn about what produces those results. So if you look at Americans and how much they care about politics and what they care about in politics, it's a lot of it is about their lifestyle and their purchasing power. They are very obsessed with that, and justifiably so. But many people are not at all interested in learning what produces the results that they care about. And we need to find a way to explain it to them because if we don't, then these fuckers will catch them before we can.
The people who act like
it's like, look at this, for example. Javid is yawning. Javid, like, see, like, again, he's yawning because we're talking about the economy. Even though this is like some of the most topics that we need to learn, more important than so many other topics that we talk about, so much more important than in many of the topics we talk about here, because at the end of the day, everything comes down to the economy. All politics eventually come down to economy. The whole point of politics is to improve people's living standards. Living standards can be measured with, but living standards is the economy. So all politics is about the economy. But people want to talk about politics because there's a drama there. But where it matters the most, which is its effect on the economy, that's where people are like, okay, this is too complicated. I don't want to talk about it. Because you know what? Because they think it involves numbers, and numbers means math, and people don't like math. But it's actually not that complicated. These are just a few basic principles that if you understand, and if you help people understand, they will be able to vote a lot more effectively. And one of the main principles that we need to be able to educate people on is to think long-term rather than immediate effects. Because a lot of people's voting behavior is based on short-term results. And that's why they vote for people who offer you free shit, because they don't consider the long-term consequences of voting that way. You know, a lot of politicians know that people want quick results, and they could actually introduce policies that will have immediate short-term boosts in people's lifestyle, right? This is why communism spreads like a virus, because it's really easy to get people to vote for you by taking from the rich and giving to the poor. And it looks like a lot of people enjoy that in the short term. A lot of people, but people cannot appreciate the how people cannot understand how horrible the long-term effect of that is, because explaining the short-term effects is easy. Like, oh, you didn't have this money and now you do. That thing was, you had to pay for it yesterday and now you don't. That is easy to understand. But telling people how this is going to fuck you in the long term, that requires more time and understanding. And that's why communism sells. Look at this. Jewish Samantha is saying Armin only thinks this because he is a capitalist, and capitalists only think about money. We think about wealth. Money and wealth are two different things. Money is a tool to measure wealth and to transfer wealth. Money is not wealth. This is what the communist doesn't understand. The communist thinks money is wealth, and they think that and they think we're obsessed with money. Money is the way that you measure and transfer wealth. But if you think I care about wealth, yes, I do care about wealth. I don't care. I care about wealth generation. Communists want to transfer wealth. Communists think that there's only a certain amount of wealth in society, and to help the poor, you need to just transfer the wealth from the rich to the poor. Capitalists understand that fucks up. Short term, that might give some money, some wealth to poor people. Long term, that devastates wealth generation. And the way to bring people out of poverty is wealth generation, not wealth transfer. Capitalists want to increase the amount of wealth generation capacity that a society has. Communists are obsessed with just moving wealth around, taking it from the rich. And it's interesting. I love being accused of caring about wealth, because be like, oh, like people saying, oh, you're a capitalist, you only care about wealth. I love that. Wealth brings people out of poverty. It's interesting because communists pretend like they care about poor, and at the same time they accuse capitalists in being obsessed about wealth. How do you think we bring people out of poverty? By improving wealth generation. Yes, I am obsessed with wealth because we want to improve people's standards of living. Yes, capitalists should be justifiably are obsessed with wealth because we want people to be able to afford food, afford rent, afford their medicine, afford their surgery, afford leisure time, afford spending more time with their children. You think that's an accusation against us? Like, oh, you guys always care so much about wealth. Yes, because I want people to have better lives. I'll take that. If that's an insult, if you think that's an insult, then you don't understand. Yeah, it insults us with wanting to generate more wealth so that we could bring more people out of poverty. What an insult. How else can you help people come out of poverty other than obsessing over wealth generation? Oh, we got another super chat. Thank you so much, Sayed. Sayed saying agreed 100% with Armin. Economy is very important. Well, I appreciate you guys. This is why our community here might be smaller, but we're gonna be nerding it out here with a smaller group of people, but like with much higher level of nuanced here together. And I'm not claiming I know everything. There's many things I don't know, but we could figure it out here together. And I want to create a community of nerds here, okay, who basically obsess over these details. Smaller, but we're going to go for quality rather than quantity. I mean, we would like higher quantity as well too, but we're going to obsess with the quality of the audience here as well. And I appreciate you guys supporting it and you guys being interested. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sayed. Look at Nara being a nerd.
They're gonna work in favor of us, but they're only like working against us almost. I'm so curious about your answer, because stop complaining. Maybe we should start acting, make this country great again by ourselves if the politics is not doing it.
It goes on and on like this. They could have done the border wall. They could have done mass deportations. They could have drained the swamp. They could have finished the job and gotten rid of all these NGOs, all of these State Department funded left-wing activist outfits. They could have destroyed Antifa.
You are left-wing, you fucking idiot. You're anti-corporation, you're anti-tax cuts, you're for more government involvement in people's private affairs. So you are left. Stop saying like, oh, these left-wing. You are left-leaning. And you're also advocating for people, your followers, to vote for the Democratic Party. Like, you are left-leaning. What the fuck are you talking about, Nick? You are a communist. Nick Fuentes, you are a communist. You're anti-business. You are anti-corporation. You're more communist than some communists I know.
Have ratcheted up FARA and went after all the billionaires funding the bail funds for BLM. They could have went after Mexico. They could have went after Cuba. They could have created a tariff schedule, and the government could have been collecting $200 to $300 billion a year in revenue. I remember when they did the Liberation Day tariffs, that day it became possible to start a business in America.
Oh my God. No. Okay. So guys, the only way I think tariffs should be used is to threaten other countries that have tariffs on you to remove their tariffs. I'm anti-tariff unless tariffs are being used for two reasons. There's only two situations where tariffs make sense, right? One, as a weapon against countries who have tariffs on you, and you put it on them, and you tell them that if they remove your tariffs, you will remove yours. So tariff for removing other tariffs is a good way of using tariffs. Okay, that's one. Two, if it's not just about the markets but security issues, right? Tariffs make sense when like there's an industry that a segment of it is very important for national security for other countries not to have access to it, like certain weapons or certain chips. Okay, so if it's for national security and it's important that the government doesn't take advantage of like basically labeling everything as a national security issue, they could overdo it. But if it's genuinely a national security issue, then yes, tariffs in those cases make sense, but also for getting other countries to remove their tariffs. But if you think tariffs is going to increase employment in your country, then you have no idea how the economy works. Okay, you need other than these two examples, you need to allow free international trade for you to basically offshore everything that other countries could be more productive on a relative basis to you. So it actually makes sense for you to focus on the industries where you have the highest competitive advantage of, instead of trying to be good at everything. This is the isolationist delusion that thinks that a country needs to rely on itself for every single goods and services, and they need to be ahead in every single industry. It actually makes sense for you to let the free market decide what industries makes the most sense in your country and let the other ones get offshore. This is actually how you produce the most jobs, not by forcing the industries to stay onshore. That's not how you produce the most jobs. You produce the most jobs by letting the industries that you have the highest competitive advantage in to grow faster. If you try to use tariffs to keep everything onshore, imagine if you have 10 industries and the employment in each one of them goes from 10 to 20 because you brought everything offshore. Okay, but if you actually don't try to force everything onshore, and you allow the global competition to decide what industries you focus on, from the 10 industries you have, let's say 8 of them shrinks from a 10 to a 2, but those 2 remaining will go from 2 to 1,000. And those 2, for example, will have so much more employment than if you try to just keep everything onshore. You guys understand what I'm saying? Let me know if that made sense. Oh, we got 3 super chats. Oh my God. Thank you, guys. Attila is saying, so Armin, here is a question. How can market cap of a company be compared to GDP of a company? Well, to be fair, GDP is per year, and the market cap, it is basically the total market cap of a company. So I understand what you're saying, that they're not comparable, but it's a number. But because GDPs are big numbers, it's a fun thing to compare to. So I understand what you're saying. GDP is per year and market cap is not. So people are saying like that's the comparison of apples to oranges. I think that's what you're trying to get at, right? So that's a fair point. But because GDPs are really, really big, if a market cap of a company reaches the GDP of a big country, it's interesting. But fair point, Attila, if that's your criticism. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, that was what you're saying. And then cool, okay, thanks, bye, saying capitalism is the most compassionate system we got. Perfectly stated. Guys, this is verifiable fact. Nobody can deny this unless they're basically closing their eyes. For you to deny this, you have to be emotional and you have to close your eyes and not actually check the data. This is verifiable fact. Capitalism has brought people out of poverty more than any system ever created by mankind. Anybody who doesn't accept this is being emotional or is refusing to look at the data. Anybody who is denying this is denying obvious verifiable data, and they have no arguments against you. They have no arguments against you. They just say you're wrong. They make accusations against you. They tell you you're being evil. They tell you don't care about like the well-being of humans. They just give you emotional responses. They don't actually show you the facts and the data to make their point because they have no points. They have no points. And thank you for that reminder. And Deborah, oh wow, we got confetti. We got 10 out of 10. We got the confetti. Thank you so much, Agent Anderson, in the chat. Okay, so Deborah is saying Mexican cartels and the problem we have between 3 countries, Mexico, US, and Canada, with the help of the CCP. Mexican cartels and the problems we have between 3 countries, Mexico, US, and Canada, with the help of CCP. Oh, you're talking about the drug problem in the United States? Let me see. Am I missing something here? Mexican cartels and the problems we have between the 3 countries, Mexico, US, and Canada, with the help of. Okay, I think I should have read this super chat while I was while we were speaking, because I don't know what this is relating to. I'm sure it made sense when it was being posted. Okay, but thank you, Deborah. Thank you. Sorry if I'm being slow in understanding. Okay, and then we have No Borders Sports saying tariffs can be used to make a domestic product stronger. Yeah, but if you need tariffs to make a domestic product stronger, that product shouldn't have been stronger. You should have just used. There is no inherent benefit in making a product domestically stronger. If you need tariffs to make that product stronger, that means if you just allowed the natural forces to dictate things, all the capital that is going towards that product would have gone to something more efficient for the country that you're in. Right? So let me see how I say this, right? Imagine that we're getting ready for a birthday, right? And we're basically in, or a wedding, and we are all trying to send out invitation, like me and my wife, we're trying to send, like me and my like fiance, like, or whatever, like we are trying to invite people to a wedding, and we have envelopes and cards, and she's writing on a piece of paper, and I am basically licking the envelopes and putting the gift in it, and basically making it nice and sending it off, right? And all of that. She's writing, and I'm closing the envelope and everything, and putting the gift or whatever in it, right? But imagine if instead of she doing one thing, like she's good, her handwriting is better, and she's faster at writing. I'm better at, I don't know, making the envelope look nice, putting the flower sticker on it, putting the gift on it, and closing it, right? But imagine instead of her doing that and me doing this, we decided to, like, no, we need to have let's make the domestic product stronger for both of us. Like, why is it that I'm not doing the writing as well? Imagine I was writing and basically making the envelope nice with the flower on it and the gift inside, both of them, and she was doing it both at the same time. Like, both of us were doing both tasks, right? That would be a lot less efficient. It would be better if I focus on what I'm better at relatively, even if she's better at both of them compared to me. Okay, relatively, if I am relatively better at one thing and she's relatively better at the other thing, we would be able to do more envelopes per hour if she focused on the writing and I focused on the envelope closing and preparation, right? So in the same way, in a country that has competitive advantages in certain industries, it's wasting resources if it's trying to make all of its industries to bring all of its industries to a certain level. The capital and resources that was going to that domestic product, if you just allowed the foreign companies to make that for you more, then those resources would have gone to the industries that you would be able to produce more profit, more employees, and bigger corporations on. By the way, this is proven economic data. Like, none of that I'm saying is disputed, right? It's fun. Like, the job loss from letting that that industry die a little is less than the job gain from allowing resources naturally to go in the industries where you have the most competitive advantage. And guys, some of you might say that, oh, United States is a very powerful country. We could have basically the competitive advantage in everything. Actually, because United States is a powerful country, it will not be able to have the competitive advantage in everything, because United States is a powerful country, income levels in the United States will rise to a point where it actually would make sense for the United States to rely on people that don't have that much of a higher income in other countries. Their corporation being offshore would actually have a competitive advantage in certain industries. Does that make sense? Like, do you guys understand what I'm saying? And then we have another super chat here. Agent Anderson saying GDP is like income, market cap is like wealth. Yes. I know that comparison. I only made that comparison because GDPs are big numbers, and if your market cap reaches the GDP of a big country, is kind of interesting. But you're right. Roman Viking with another super chat saying capitalism is the only social system where all social interactors are voluntary. Yes. This is why socialism leads to fascism. This Roman Viking, this is why socialism leads to fascism. Because for socialism, you need to lean more and more into socialism. You need bigger governments that is making private entities do things that is not in their interest. And as your country grows under socialism, you need more force and more involuntarily behavior and more government involvement in our life, and to the point that if you continue that path, you will lead to fascism. Capitalism is the greatest force, not just against poverty. Capitalism is also the greatest force against fascism. Capitalism is the fastest road out of fascism, because under capitalism, everyone's money matters, everyone's wealth matters. If you want to give people agency, if you want to give people political agency, give them economic agency. Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Political agency is a result of economic agency. If you want democracy, make people rich. If you want people to have the political capital to choose their own destiny, you need to give them the economic capital for them to be a power to be reckoned with. That's how you give people. Here's what communists don't understand. People think democracy is this beautiful thing that you could write on a piece of paper in the Constitution, and because the ink has touched the paper and it has written that we will have democracy, then democracy will be. It's like a spell. It's like sorcery. It's like magic ink and magic paper. You say we shall have democracy, and democracy will happen. Democracy happens when the economic power of a people, of a society, becomes high relative to the economic power of the people who are ruling over you. Economic power gives you enough agency for democracy to be inevitable. If you look at history, you see democracy is not a result of political activism. Democracy is a result of people getting rich. And because they got rich, their voice now matters, and you need to give them a seat at a table. Democracy is the only way to give a seat at the table to the people that you can no longer ignore, because you depend on them because of their economic power that they have. Political activism is only a side product of people mattering because now they are richer. And political activism, it leads to democracy not because of the political activism itself, but because of the force of the people and their economic agency that is now behind that political activism. This is some deep shit, guys, by the way. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know if I'm explaining it very well or not. But political agency comes from economic agency. And this is why capitalism kills fascism. And this is why socialism gives birth to fascism. We have channel 007. Thank you so much. Saying, I love capitalism that prioritizes Americans. Vulture capitalism, not much. But yeah, we mostly on the same team. Yes. Note layoffs affect Americans, not HB1. So yeah, the HB1 is broken. You need to fix. Yeah. So I am for limited, filtered, scaled migration, but the HB1 is a broken system. For sure, I'm against what it's now representing. But the way there are multiple types of capitalism, and I think we agree. I defend only one of them. Okay, We have laws of fair capitalism. We have regulated capitalism. We have crony capitalism, and we have state capitalism. I defend regulated capitalism, right? I am not for zero government. That's anarcho-capitalism. I'm not for that. Obviously, even if you read Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith, you could see the government has some role. The market is not perfect. There needs to be government involvement to a certain extent, right? We need to make sure that there's no price fixing. We need to make sure that they are we break unnatural monopolies. We need to make sure there's competition. We need to make sure that we adjust for negative and positive externalities. So the government does have a role. And that's why I'm against laws of fair capitalism. I'm for regulated capitalism. Crony capitalism, I'm against, obviously. And state capitalism, I'm also against. State capitalism is what you have in China right now. And then Wyatt, thank you so much for the super chat. Is saying, I believe in a well-managed private enterprise system. Good. 60 years, this made me a liberal. Okay. Liberal, classical liberal, I'm assuming. Yeah. Now it makes me far right. Oh, you're saying 60 years ago that belief made you a liberal, but now it makes you far right? Okay. Yeah, I see. US used to be a nation of family businesses. Now it's ruled by global corporatism. So I'm okay with, so global corporatism. I don't know what you mean by that. I think corporatism, if it means that governments are playing favoritism with corporations instead of allowing competition to do its thing, then I'm against that, and I completely agree with you. But if naturally, if without favoritism, you have companies in the United States that grow so big that they become global corporations, that is something to be proud of, in my opinion. As long as corporatism, if this is what corporatism means, I agree with you, and I'm against it. If these companies that are becoming so big manage to get the government to favor them in a way that reduces competition, and they use laws as a way to reduce competition, then yes, I am with you and I'm against that. Okay. But as long as governments allow maximum competitions and turn these corporations against each other to improve their services, to lower their costs, to pay their employees more and treat them better, and produce world-class services and goods in a way that your corporations, that your country produce, is competing on a global scale, and that's happening naturally, without price fixing and removing of competition, then the bigger the better. The bigger the better, because the bigger these companies get is because they have won. A company getting better without fraud, without violating these rules, then if they manage to get that big on a global scale, they could only get big on that scale if they're producing the best products at the best prices with the best quality, and by attracting the best employees and giving them the best treatment, the best pay, and the best work conditions. If that's how you manage to get that big, then we should celebrate that and we should encourage that. And instead of being anti-big corporate, because being anti-big corporate basically means being anti-success. We're basically punishing success. We don't want to be anti-big corporations because we don't want to be punishing success. The way a country becomes prosperous is by rewarding success rather than punishing success. Does that make sense? Do you guys agree with me? And then we have another super chat by Casey saying, exactly, Armin, look at the Bolshevik Revolution. Yep. And then we have Amit. Thank you again. Amit being a member for 5 months, saying communism equals one corrupt entity acting as a cartel. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Communism means that your hatred for corporations and people being successful turning into basically giving all economic and political power to an entity that is basically far, far, far more evil than anything that humanity has ever introduced. And then we have Channel is saying Armin is against egg price fixing, false advertising. Yes, yes, yeah. So, for example, I believe in price fixing should be illegal because regulated capitalism should make price fixing illegal because it reduces competition. And false advertising, those are the things that should be. Again, that's why I'm not for laws of fair capitalism. Those are some things that should be illegal. So yeah, I think we agree on that. And Dapper, the most consistent of all the super chatters, cursing the Safavids one more time, which I completely endorse and agree with, saying curse on the Safavids, and this is the 12th time he's cursing. I appreciate you, Dapper, and I appreciate your curses. Oh, we got another super chat. Wow, guys, you guys are interested in this topic. I'm glad that we have so much interest in this topic here. We should talk about this stuff more then. I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised you guys are, this is my favorite topic. I'm so interested. I'm so happy you guys are into it. Shauna is saying, thoughts about government subsidies, particularly I think about agriculture. I am for government subsidies only in the areas of positive and negative externalities, right? So here's what the market is really good at, and here's what it sucks at, okay? So more trade, what is a trade? Trade is two people or two entities exchanging something on a voluntary basis, voluntarily, which means that more likely, more often, both sides of the trade will come out of the trade better off than they were before. That is what a trade is. You give me something, I give you something in return, and because this was voluntary, I'm better off and you're better off. Usually because we both wanted this, right? So that means that, and the market, what is the market? The market is the platform, the environment where these trades happen. So if we allow the market to be free, more trade will happen. And given that out of every trade, both sides will come out better off, the more trade we have in the society, the more better off people will become, right? That is true. And the market being free and allowing the wisdom of the crowd to do its thing means society will become more and more prosperous if you just let maximum trade happen. This is true except one situation, externalities. So there's a third person. So in a trade, there are not two people, there are three. The two people who are trading with each other, and there are third parties who are being affected by your trade without being involved in the trade. Okay, so there's two entities that are trading with each other, and then there's a third party that is being affected by the trade without being involved in the trade. And here's the problem with the market. The market doesn't see that. The market, it only sees the trade. It doesn't see the third person that is being, the market is blind to externalities, to third party externalities, right? So my trade with you could have a positive externality, which means that beyond me and you, somebody else is benefiting from our trade, and the market doesn't see that. Or me and you are trading, and there's a third party that is being harmed by this trade, and the market doesn't see that because that person is not in the trade. For example, education. Let's say you come to me and you give me money, and I give you math classes, or I give you writing classes, right? So I'm benefiting because you're giving me money. You're benefiting because you're learning a new skill. But there's society's benefiting as well. Society is benefiting because now you have a skill that you didn't have before, and the society as a whole is going to benefit from this increased skill in you. And the market didn't see that. That's a positive externality. Or maybe I'm selling you something, and because of what I'm selling you, we're causing pollution. You're giving me money, I'm giving you something, and our trade is causing pollution, for example. This is a negative externality that the market does not see. So the government needs to come adjust that. This is something that the market fails at. So the government could come subsidize the trade between us that causes positive externalities, and the government could come tax the trade between us that is causing negative externalities. And I think this is the only form of tax. I personally think income shouldn't be taxed. Things that are harmful should be taxed, because income is a positive thing. We should encourage people to make more income. Only things that cause negative externalities should be taxed. This is a radical belief that I have, which we're not going to get into, right? But subsidies and taxes should be based on positive and negative externalities. So the things that are benefiting. So this means that if we just don't touch the market, the trades that cause positive externalities are not happening as much as they should be. And the government could come encourage them with the subsidies. And the trades that are causing negative externalities, they're happening more than they should be. And the government could come tax them and reduce the number of times that they're happening. Look at this. This person is falling asleep because this is important economic lesson. This is Studno. This is some of the most important shit that you guys need to learn. But I need to come and say like, oh my God, there's somebody explode somewhere, some shit. I need to come about like, oh no, this guy said this about that. Oh my God, oh no, drama. Like, I don't know. This is you knowing this shit means that you're going to vote more in the right, bring the society in the right direction more often. This is it's interesting because people care about their well-being, they care about their standard of living, but they don't want to learn the shit that brings them there. Oh, look at this. Shana saying, I like your radical idea. Yes. Stop income taxes and just increase taxes on stuff that are harmful to society. Yeah, see, the nerds are here with me. The nerds, but does that make sense? What I said, did that make sense? By the way, guys, this is what being for subsidies and taxes is not against capitalism. Even Adam Smith in his book, Wealth of Nations, acknowledged the importance of government involvement for adjusting for what the market fails at in this area. So subsidies are good. Yeah, exactly. Texas understanding the economy is vital. So yeah, let's go back to Nick Fuentes to wake up the people who just fell asleep. Right.
Because all of a sudden there was tons of demand.
Yes, he's saying this guy actually believes in this communist. So AM Stutno is saying let Nick debunk your economical theory. Geesh. Okay. Let Nick debunk me. Let's see.
For business in America, because all of a sudden there was tons of demand for all the things we're buying from China and Vietnam and Indonesia and Malaysia until they reversed all of it like the next week.
Yeah, guys, Vietnam, look at this. Like, oh, let's not make those jobs go to Vietnam. Why the fuck not? Vietnam's economy is growing like fucking crazy. By the way, communists, look at Vietnam. Look, Vietnam is right now a communist nightmare. Vietnam right now is a communist nightmare. Vietnam is leaning heavy into capitalism, and look at it go. Oh my God. Capitalists everywhere should be clapping for Vietnam right now. It's fucking growing like crazy. It's interesting because I was recently in Vietnam and they have communist symbols everywhere. And everything is going like they're more capitalist than most countries out there. Oh, it's amazing, right? They have like Louis Vuitton and all these stores and a stock market and everything, and they still have I don't know, the communist symbols at the same time. But look at them, their free market and their growth. Oh my God, love Vietnam. And Vietnam is one of US's biggest allies right now around that area, which United States needs. So Americans should be happy that Vietnam's economy is growing. Vietnam's economy growing is not only good for US's economy, it's also good for security, because an ally of the United States next to China is growing economically. That's a good thing for the United States.
Could have done so much more, but this is what you get.
Vietnam is actually proof that communism fails, by the way, right? Israel and Vietnam are some of the best examples of the failure of communism and socialism. Israel became such a powerful country as soon as they switched away from their socialist past. And Vietnam, look at it go. Look at Vietnam go. Love to Vietnam.
Could have done so much more.
Look at this idiot saying Vietnam is an ally of China, not USA. Okay, sure. Go look at the opinions of Vietnamese about United States. Go look at the polls. Yeah, Team Vietnam, exactly. Thank you, Sean. It's true Vietnam doesn't want to be as aggressive against China. That's true. But Vietnam is definitely a US ally. And thank you, Shona. Thank you. In fact, when it comes to outsourcing, many countries, including United States, are looking at using Vietnam as a way to not rely so much on China. You know, outsourcing to China might make sense from an economic perspective, but it doesn't make sense from a security perspective, right? We have to take the economic perspective and the security perspective as well. So even though I'm from free markets, I understand that security is important. Taking security factor into account is important. Outsourcing as much as possible to China is, if I was only focusing on the economy, well, I would be like, go, 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 go. Don't stop. Don't stop. But no, China is, but using Vietnam right now to bring some of that away from China is a win-win-win.
But this is what you get. And all of this is to say, look, there's really one answer to all of these problems. There is one answer. There is only one solution, which is the GOP has to be destroyed. There are zero other options. It's a very simple logical chain. If the Republican Party is a vehicle for political opposition, and it is, you've got the Democrat machine, which is, it's never going to work, okay? What is the Democrat constituency? It is all these like militant people. They hate.
You know, guys, every time he's pausing, he's saying Jewish. Every time it's pause, every time he's being censored, this guy, he's saying Jewish. So when you see there's a silence, is because this guy has censored the places where he's saying Jewish. So this fucker over here knows how anti-Jewish he is, and he still endorses Nick Fuentes, and he thinks that's America first. Fuck all of you. Fuck all of you Jew haters.
Opposition, and it is. You've got the Democrat machine, which is, it's never going to work, okay? What is the Democrat constituency? It is all these like militant people. They hate people. It's all these far lefties, LGBTQ, feminists, unions, students. I mean, you go on the left and you see this is just not an option, okay? Like the left is never going to save us. The political left is the enemy. They're doing...
Wait, let me respond to this. Jewish Samantha in the chat is saying, what the fuck is Armin talking about? Vietnam is a communist country governed by a Communist Party of Vietnam, CPV. Samantha, Google Vietnam Stock Exchange. Wait, I'll show it to you. Huh? Communist country. Yeah, it was founded like that. Oh my God. What am I talking about? Yeah, communist country with a stock. Wait here, let me show you. Oh my God. Here, look at this. Oh my God, this is their website. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at the Vietnam stock exchange. Wow, so communistic. Look at all these graphs. Hanoi Stock Exchange. Very communist. Yeah, communists with the famous for their stock exchange. Yeah, wow, very. You know what this is missing? A Vietnamese flag with the communist symbol right above it. Right, let's look at this. Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange. There's the Wikipedia page for it. Here, look at that. Ooh, wow, communist. What the fuck am I talking about? What is this then? What the fuck? All right, very, very. So look at this. Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange is a massive and thriving. You simply like this the level of trade. This level of trade, like this is not only yeah, this is private capital and shareholder equity. Yes, this is what Marx was fighting for. This level of trade, private capital, and shareholder equity. Yeah, Vietnam is communist. This is why the world's leading global tech giants are aggressively moving their manufacturing supply chains to Vietnam, because Vietnam is communist. Sure. Yes, Vietnam is now boasting about how many billionaires they're producing per year. More people in Vietnam are becoming billionaires every single year, and Vietnam is bragging about it. That very communistic. Very communistic of them. Yeah, it was Marx's dream. More billionaires, private sector. I was in Vietnam. I have a picture. Oh my. I went to the streets of Vietnam. Is all trade. There's Louis Vuitton. There's Louis Vuitton and all these other brands that I don't remember. But let me see if I have a picture. Vietnam, like I remember taking a picture. I was like, oh my god, look at this. Like a communist symbol right next to Louis Vuitton store. How do I search? Wait, Google Photos has changed. How do I? Oh, here. Let me show you. Louis Vuitton store in Vietnam. I took this picture when I was there because people were like, why is like I was like giving the camera like take a picture of me in a way that you could show both the Louis Vuitton store and the communist symbol at the same time. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why did you want them? Oh, can I find it? Where is it? Oh, I can. Let me just, I can't find it, but let me see. Louis Vuitton store in Vietnam. Ooh. Let me see images. Oh, yeah, it was here. I was here. It was here. I was right here. I remember this building. Copy image address. Yes, look at this. Yeah. It was such a nice store. Look at this. These are the communist symbols, and this is the Louis Vuitton store. This is in Hanoi. You know, when I was there, I had the hammer and sickle around here as well. These are right. Okay. Let's go way back here. No, we got 4 more super chats. Samantha is okay, by the way. Don't worry. Yeah, that's Vietnam. Oh, guys, Vietnam is like progressing so fast. It's one of the fastest growing, and it's so beautiful, and there's so much trade, stores, like capitalism is flowing. You know, capitalism is like really growing in Vietnam. It's all about business and tourism and trade, and people are getting rich and they're making money. It's so beautiful. If you want to see the success of capitalism, just go on a guys. I suggest going on a visit on Vietnam because it's going to get really expensive soon. Vietnam's economy is growing so fast because they're free now, free from communism, that you might want to consider going there before everything gets more expensive. And yeah, by the way, Samantha, I hope you don't think like you're being attacked. I know you've been lied to, and I'm just helping you see the truth. Oh, let me see. There are 4 more super chats. Roman Viking saying, "Don't you think it's hard to make sure a certain effect is negative or positive regarding externalities? Who will define good and bad?" Yes, Roman Viking, it is difficult, but it is better than no adjustment, because you know what? Uh, because the market has a, even if our ability to figure out how much the negative and positive externalities are, the market doesn't adjust for it at all, right? At least we know, like, education is a positive externality. At least we know, like, pollution is a negative externality. The market doesn't see it at all, right? So yes, it is difficult, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it just because it's difficult. There are ways to measure it, and it's never going to be perfect. But really good question, by the way. Amir is saying Nick was so irrelevant, we could enjoy a bit geopolitics and economy lecture. Well, I mean, it's hard to get, like, yeah, I mean, like, I like this. I like talking. I'm impressed that you guys are like enjoying this, right? But I do need to use Nick's retarded face to bring people at the beginning here so that we could talk about these things. But yes, I agree. Shauna, thank you so much for the super chat, saying immigration from Vietnam to America has gone down, I believe, if I'm correct. That's another clear indication of a growing economy. Yes, very completely true. Completely true. Yes. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if some people, like, you see more immigration to Vietnam because of the opportunities that Vietnam is creating right now. Love to see it. Love to see capitalism demonstrating how successful it could be to a country. Yeah, you guys are right. I need to bring, like, my monocle and my suit, so that if I'm defending capitalism, I need to look like the Monopoly guy. Right. Oh, Samantha is still resisting. He's saying, besides allowing foreign investments, Vietnam is still communist. Yes, having private sector, having a stock market, removing regulations, allowing free trade, doing business with the world's biggest global tech corporations and other corporations, all of that, none of that violates Marxism. That is, I mean, what is Marxism? What is left of Marxism? You have a goddamn stock market, a very, very active stock market. What are you talking about? Did you not just see? I showed you that they have a stock market. Vietnam is bragging about their billionaire class growing. And thank you, by the way, Shana. Very good point. And then we have Roman Viking saying, "Can we read some?" Oh my God, I don't know. Deng Xiaoping with Samantha at one point. That's the one that actually freed up the economy a lot, right? Let me see. I mix their names with each other. I could tell by their face if it's that one. Yes, this is the guy that freed up China to a large extent, if I'm correct, if I'm not mistaking them with each other. And he's the one responsible for the explosive growth of China's economy, right? Is that the one? I mean, it's still not enough. We went from communism to state capitalism, which is much better than communism. That's why China's economy grew, but it didn't grow as much as it could if we went to, proper capitalism. Yes, that was him. Okay. Yeah, China becomes such a big economy because it freed up its economy. it moved away from communism, closer to capitalism. And thank you. And then we have another super chat. Amir is saying, I one vote for Monopoly Armin as emoji. Oh, yes. Every time I'm gonna add that. That's a great idea. Every time I talk about capitalism, you guys could use that in the emoji. That's a great idea. So somebody's saying, is Samantha a lefty? Samantha is recovering from a communist cult. So we love Samantha. Okay, Samantha was abused in a communist cult, and she has been brainwashed, and she knows it, and she's doing really, really good. She's making a lot of effort to recover from that, and she's here talking to all of us. And we disagree with her on many things, but we love her, and we also we're really impressed by how much she has done so far, leaving that cult and working against the brainwashing that they did against her. Okay, so just because I passionately disagree with Samantha, it doesn't mean that I don't love her, and it doesn't mean that I'm not proud of everything that she has done, leaving that cult. It's really, really hard. The extent of abuse and brainwashing she has gone through, she has made so much progress right now. So we're proud of her here. Okay, I need to go get ready for our next show. This was so much fun for me. I don't know if it was fun for you, but talking about economic, concepts and principles, it's so much fun for me. And I know it's not gonna bring many people to this channel, but the fact that the core members, the core people of this channel appreciated it, makes me really happy. I think that the greatest threats to civilizations, to Western civilization, is Islam, communism, the woke left, and the woke right. With communism and Islam being the top two, and I can't even tell which one is worse. Sometimes I think it's communism. Sometimes I think it's Islam because I'm right in the middle of it. But then when I look at the number, I think it's actually communism. It's even worse than Islam. And I think that if this is, our channel is liberty politics, and if we're fighting for liberty, we can't just be anti-Islam. We also have to be aggressively anti-communism as well, because to be pro-liberty means to be pro-capitalism, to be pro-free markets, to be pro the private sector's choice and freedom to make its own decisions. And by the way, guys, when I say I'm for limited government, that doesn't mean I'm for small government. I am. Let me clarify something, because people might misunderstand this. I am for limited government and big government at the same time. And people think that's a contradiction. That is not a contradiction. I am for limited government because limited government makes my government big, but big in the right areas. I want my government to be limited in the private market, so that the private market grows so much that the revenue of my government gets so high that it could afford a giant fucking military, and also be able to pay for a lot for security and a very powerful and efficient justice system. I want a big, giant government. But I don't want a big, giant government in healthcare and education. I want my government to be big because it has a giant fucking army. That's what I want. I don't want my government to be big in the areas that it's not supposed to be in. I want it to save money, not wasting its money on the places that it shouldn't be in, so that it could spend its money a lot on the areas that it should be in. So I'm for limited government and big government. All right. Nice. Yes. Texas is saying Armin is a secret American. Well, America gets this right more than any other country. I mean, that's why they're that's why they're the most prosperous, most successful country in the world, because they have gotten, I mean, that's not perfect. But they have gotten it right more than any other country. And that's why they're number one. All right, guys. Gotta go get ready for the next show. We're gonna be live on this channel and Goldie's channel. So in 20 minutes, 17 minutes. See you guys soon. Thank you so much for nerding out with me here. We'll have more of discussions like this in the future. We'll be like moving around different, like, I don't want to keep focusing on this because there should be some, we're going to get bored if we just constantly focus on one topic. So next time we might go back to, I don't know, we should do some Cenk Uygur, maybe. We haven't done him for a while. So let's do that. Anyways, see you guys soon. I'm Israel Chai, Slava Ukrainian, long live America, Javisha, Payandera. See you guys soon.